Shalom, giving all praise to Yahweh Shem Yahushua B'Shem HaKadosh. Giving all praise to Yahweh Shem Yahushua B'Shem HaKadosh. And I'm going to entitle this video, If You Teach That the MOTB is something other than what we say it is, there's no breath in you. If you still teach that Cornelius is an Edomite and not an Israelite, there is no breath in you. And if the spirit jumps on me, for that matter, if you teach that if a Judite man, for example, lays down with a woman of another nation, that the children are not Israelites, then there's no breath in you. So I'm going to speak a little. I'll read the scripture. Okay, this is one of my favorite chapters, prophetic chapters in the Bible. The book of Ezekiel 37, verse 5. You really need to read the whole chapter. And this is basically in a nutshell of us being in America and having a spiritual awakening, which is ultimately this truth. Our nationality. You got vocab that says these Israelites, they base their salvation based upon ethnicity. Of course we do. That's what Ezekiel 38:37 is all about. Putting on the clothing, putting on the bones coming together, sinew coming upon them, flesh coming upon their sinews and their blood and their bones, which is a covering. That's our nationality. The first step is the Most High has to put bring the bones together, bring the sinews together, and that means the veins, the blood, what makes you, the organs, and then putting flesh over the bones, the sinews, the organs, the blood, the DNA. So that is ethnicity. So that's the first step. You got to know this message is only for the Israelites. And then after you know that you're an Israelite, now this message applies to you, that you are the Israelites, that you have the Edomites, which is your number one enemy. The rest of the nations are your enemy. That you were put in this condition because of your foreparents that broke the law, statutes, and commandments. But how can you pay for what your fathers did when the Lord says the son shall not pay for the father's iniquity, neither shall the father pay for the son's iniquity? Well, we are our fathers reincarnated. Reincarnation is biblical. If you don't understand, if you can't accept that reincarnation is a biblical concept, the Most High is not working with you. If you're an Israelite, the breath is not in you. If you're of another nation, you're not of the Most High's anyway, so you don't know this book. The wicked shall not understand. So let me read this. It says, Ezekiel, and I mentioned the first part of the title is if you teach that the MOTB is something other than what we or GMS teaches, then you do not have the breath in you. Most High is really not dealing with you. You know that you're an Israelite. That's it. You're just an Israelite that knows a handful of scriptures. You don't know how to put it all together, which is called the breath. Our Lord breathed upon the disciples. The Most High breathed into the nostrils of Adam the breath of life. What is the breath of life? Remember, it wasn't the Christians teach there was an Adam and an Eve. Then Adam and Eve had two sons, Cain and Abel. Cain rose up and slew his brother Abel, and you have Cain. But it said Cain had children. Where did he get that woman from? He wasn't dealing with his mother. There was more than one. They were known as Adam with an S. plural. Genesis chapter 5 tell you that. Male and female call them and call their name Adam. So the Christians don't understand. Christians are totally lost. If you're a Christian, you are complete. I don't give a damn how much study you did. You are completely lost. Anyway, it said, thus saith Yahweh, the Most High, unto these bones, behold, I will cause breath to enter into you, and ye shall live. Ethnicity first. In order for you to come into this thing, you have to be an Israelite. This is not for everybody. And I will lay sinews upon you, and will bring up flesh upon you. That's your nationality, your ethnicity, and cover you with skin, and put breath in you, which is the knowledge that the Lord only came for you. The Lord is a so-called black man. We are the Israelites. The Edomites are our number one enemy. They have a list of enemies among the nations. They're going into captivity. We're going to have a kingdom. That's the breath. The MOTB is the charagma. Cornelius is an Israelite. If an Israelite man, a Judite, a Benjaminite lays with a Moabite woman, the seed that comes out of that union, that sexual union, is an Israelite. Even though, wait a minute, he looks just like a Vietnamese, but he's still an Israelite. What do you think Revelation chapter 7 and 9 is all about? It's talking about the Israelites being scattered throughout the whole planet Earth, and put breath in you, and ye shall live, and ye shall know that I am the Lord. Ultimately, when are we going to know that the supreme power, Yahweh, is the Most High? Is when the kingdom comes. But who's going to know it first? The elect. It always goes back to the elect, not all of Israel. The majority of Israelites in America will be destroyed because they're following Christianity and Islam. I was watching one video that led me to another video dealing with Captain Cesariak and Captain Kazazak debating, and WAC 100 was involved in this, debating the NOI, the Nation of Islam. And I'm like, this was a complete waste of time. You're not going to wake them people up. They're gone. The scriptures speak about having been seared with a hot iron. They've been indoctrinated. It's hard to get somebody out of something that's been indoctrinated. When I say indoctrinated, I'm talking about somebody that becomes a Roman Catholic church, and he's an altar boy. He becomes a priest. You can't change them. You can't change the 5%. You can't change the comedic guy, because it's all seared with a hot iron. It's in their psyche. So you're wasting your time. You can say a few words to them and hope that they, you plant a seed. But if they're not meant, the Most High is only dealing with the elect. And the Most High is going to make a way for the elect to come across a GMS video. Because you want to know the whole truth, you got to come to GMS. Can't go to ISUPK. You get a lot of the truth. You get 95% of the truth, but not the whole 100%. IUIC wouldn't dare say they got 100% truth, because they don't got 100% truth. Another part of the title of the video, if you believe that Cornelius is an Edomite, then the breath is not in you. Now, we had a council, we call it the Cornelius Council, at 126th Street in Harlem. Where there was a split, and we had a school down the street from the main school. Myself, Apostle Gabar, was set up as teachers, and there was another guy, we called nickname Zombie Bond, I forget his name. But he was supposed to be a part of that teaching thing, a 3-hour class, each person got an hour. Most of the time, Apostle Gabar would teach. I would be in the back, going back and forth with this guy, Bishop Nathaniel, or on the phone with somebody from England or something. and I would hardly even get my hour in. So the Apostle Gabar would be there for 2 hours, and I might come in at the last hour. And this guy, Zombie Bond, and he fell out the truth. He never came to one class, and that's when we only had one student. Remember Danger Mouse in England, the little short, funny-looking guy? He had all these guys with him, these zombies with him. They were dressed in white. He was our first student. And then for somehow that that's that class, that Monday night class, was so big that it was standing room only. And that's when this guy, Bishop Nathaniel, and the rest of his motley crew, guys that fell off, they used to snap on us. Oh, you guys ain't got nobody teaching. Nobody's coming to listen to you guys. And we dedicated ourselves, broke our back to teach this one guy, which he fell off. But it went from one guy to standing room only. And then I was able to teach whole classes, but then sometime I'll be in the back on the phone with somebody from some other country or whatever, talking about Israel. And so I would always get, maybe sometime I get the last 2 hours with Gabar, or sometimes I'll get the last hour. But I believe it was Gabar that would open it up. And in that class, they had a spy. They had a spy in there, Bishop Nathaniel. He's good for sending spies around. He's always had that demon in him. He had the spy around, what you call a California raisin. And he used to sit there in the class, and he used to spy on us as to what we were teaching. And he would go back and tell that motley crew. So one day, the Apostle Gabar said, oh, and by the way, before the split, High Priest Ariah told High Priest Shah, I believe that Cornelius is an Israelite. Ask Apostle Tahar, call to Apostle Tahar and see what he says about it, right? Because Ariah trusted me as a spiritual man. He said, look, you're a spiritual man. You say, I know you're a spiritual man because I'm a spiritual man. So anytime Ariah would bring something out to the masses, he would always, not just me, but the rest of the seven, but me being the eighth, and maybe even General Yohana, he would probably call them, but me and High Priest Ariah was close. And this was before maybe 6 months before the split. So Shaw called me. I'm teaching my class, a Monday night class, what Lahab used to have. I was teaching his class. I took it over. So Shaw would call me and, hey, what's going on? I said, look, brother, I'm having a class. Call me after. I'll call you, whatever. Then he called me. He said, yeah, Ariah believes that Cornelius is an Israelite. What do you think? And I just hung the phone up on him because I was like, what? And then he went back and told High Priest Ariah, yeah, Tahar ain't feeling. He hung the phone up on me. So Ariah never brought it up again. He said, maybe the spirit ain't with that, So the split came about 6 months later. So we were doing the class. We were in about 6 months, a year into the class. And Apostle Gabar just blurted out, Cornelius is an Israelite. He's thinking out loud. And then I said, just be quiet. We'll do it on the side. And then I thought about the whole thing with Ariah and High Priest Shaw and so forth. So it got to the spy, the California raisin, and he went to them, and they brought us a council, and they said, you got to break it. No, before that, Bishop Nathaniel and a mafia, he's dead now. He was old back then. He was a fossil back then. Anyway, we were in the back. It was myself, Bishop Nathaniel, a mafia, and maybe a couple other guys. So we're going through the scriptures, and Bishop Nathaniel clearly can't see it, right? And then there were others that seen it, but the old Black Billy Goat, a mafia, he said, close the book, close the book, close the book. So Bishop Nathaniel said, why close the book? He said, because I can see it. If you can't see it, something wrong with you. He said, if you go on a fast, you'll see it. So it was a big major council. And then certain guys that saw it, that fell out the truth, that I was close to, and fuck them too. They're gonna both eat it. They're gonna all of them. They're gonna all eat missiles. That they saw it. They said, "Yeah, it makes all the sense in the world." But then when the council came, the majority of people didn't see it. All of a sudden, they didn't see it, including the mafia, the Black Billy Goat. He said, "I said, wait a minute, mafia. You said you saw it." He said, "No, I never said that. You putting words in my mouth." And I call him a liar. And he said, "What you call me?" I said, "I'll call you a liar because you a motherfucking liar. I caught you in a lie." So everything got calmed down. And then he jumps up. I want to address the thing that he called me a liar. And everybody go, "Oh, brother, brother." But anyway, the nigga didn't see, one day he saw it, the next day he didn't see it. You know? One day you my brother, and the next day you not my brother. Inside joke. But anyway, that led into a series of councils where Gabar basically, I said, "Gabar, you deal with it." Because they didn't even want me to deal with it. He said, "Nope, nope, we don't want you to deal with it because you have a ability to make people believe what you say. You put it in words and make people believe it. So we ain't gonna have, no, you can't speak." So anyway, Apostle Gabar went into it, and at the end of the day, they can't see it. They can't see it. And then they pretty much said, "You're out. You guys are out of the school." No, they said. Then we said, "No, we won't teach it. Then no big deal. We won't teach it." Scripture said, 1 Corinthians 6 chapter, "Why not take it low?" So we said, well, we won't teach it. And then I said, "Well, no." Before that, I said, "Let's cast a lot." Bishop Nathaniel, the great bishop, the famous Bishop Nathaniel, jumped up and said, "Yeah, you can't do that. You can't do that." And I said, "Why not?" He said, "Because that's wickedness to her." And I said, "Wait a minute, there's scriptures on it." Oh, then they brought up the grape doctrine, which I said, "I can prove it. You can't prove it because it's not in the book." So what they did was, these guys are wicked. They're the demon, devil, and all that. We kicking them out. So they kicked us out, and then they realized we got to get these guys back. So they came up to Connecticut. We was at Connecticut at that time. We had it on a Sunday, I believe it was, and I called for a fast. I called for a Day of Atonement type fast, no water, no nothing. And they didn't know when they came up, and that's when Gangster Ben, the guy, the Benjamite from HODC, that knucklehead, which I'm cool with him. If I see him, I say, "Shalom, what's up?" Barack and him. Did Barack come up? I forget if Barack came up. I know Gangster Ben came up because he came up with a toothpick in his mouth. That's why we call him Gangster Ben. And he came up like a gangster. I said, "Ben is a gangster?" He was always a humble guy. All of a sudden, he's a gangster with the toothpick. And then Yasha, he was a part of it, and he came up. I think no, Mafia didn't come up. Bishop Nathaniel didn't come up, but Shekiah came up. He fell off. He's back in the world, I believe. I haven't seen him. Cool brother though. So a bunch of guys came up. They didn't realize that we were in the midst of a Day of Atonement type fast. And basically, to make a long story short, they tried to get us back. Okay, we're going to come back. We're going to have a council. We're going to straighten this thing out. And then I said, "Well," I said, don't call us. Don't call us. We'll call you." And then Yasha is smart, man. He got the message. In other words, I told him, "Go kick rocks." And they got lost coming up there. And this guy comes up there. Me and him used to come up there every goddamn week. And in his car, he would be driving. How the hell are you going to get lost when you come up there every goddamn week? As a matter of fact, it was right off of exit 25 of I-95. Can't miss it. It was a straight shoot up 95. If you in the city, you get on 95, you go straight on up, which is the Bruckner. The Bruckner in the parts of the Bronx is called the Bruckner, which that whole stretch is 95. And that 95, if you go south, it'll take you all the way to Florida, through New Jersey, through Georgia. And I went down south. I drove all the way down past Georgia and Florida. I've been down there. So you go straight up north. It's a straight route. Can't miss it. But they got lost. Spirit wasn't with them. So all that stuff, they trying to get us back in. I said, don't call us, we'll call you. And they got the message. They never came. Then a couple of years later, somehow Bishop Nathaniel had my number, and he called me out of the blue years later, and he broke down why that whole state, they became a bunch of reservoir dogs. And he was by himself. He was back by himself. And he told me the whole, everything went down. And then they really was fucking up with these fucked up ass doctrines. One doctrine was we don't got to go out on the highways and the byways no more. We don't got to teach no more. We don't got to go out there no more. Just have classroom teachings. So there was a point where they wasn't going out. The only ones that really went out was us, and maybe a couple others from the one west of the 90s. But we was out there. We were, matter of fact, we was in Harlem, right in front of the state building. When Shakari come down and they teach in Harlem, when Alazar priest, high priest Alazar, whatever his title is, when he come down, he always set it right in front of the state building, facing the state building. We would be, the state building would be behind us. That's before that statue was put up of this guy. What's this guy, man? Adam Clayton Powell's statue was put up. We were there before the statue was put up. They wouldn't even talk about putting up a statue. So we was out there at that particular time, and then all of a sudden, these guys, Bishop Nathaniel and Yash and them, they put out the thing, we don't go out and we don't got to go out no more. Then all of a sudden, anytime we set up, they would set up right up the street from us. When we was on 34th Street, they were down the street. When we was on 125th, they were up the street. I said, what the hell is going on? I thought these guys said, you don't got to go out no more. So years go by. That whole thing breaks up. Reservoir Dogs looked that word up. So Bishop Nathaniel had my number. He called me out of the blue. And he told me how they fucked up. You know, one thing that they did was they said we don't got to go out in the streets no more, which they reneged against that. Another thing was now they push keep the law, right? Where's your fringes at to we don't got to keep no laws because we're under grace, and you got to prove that you don't keep laws by you got to eat pork in front of us. You got to eat a ham sandwich, some shrimp, to prove that you're not keeping the law. I believe that was on a Friday, and this is Bishop Nathaniel telling me. You can call Bishop Nathaniel and get in contact and ask him if this is true. I don't know what he's going to say. I got it from the horse's mouth, so to speak. What happened was that Monday, I think Monday, if I'm not mistaken, they were supposed to come in front of the Grand Council and actually eat pork in front of them to prove that they're not keeping the laws. So Bishop Nathaniel, at that time, he realized there were 14 men, not women, because the sisters came. Any sisters, they came. 14 men did not show back up, and they never came back. And then he realized that was we went off. Oh, and another thing, they kicked King Mashar out. They left the main school because they were disrespecting King Mashar, but then they went against King Mashar based upon Bishop Nate having a dream. You know, so he gave me the whole kit and caboodle, so to speak. So that's our experience, man, and that's why it took him so many years to start this what is now called IUIC, which is off because Christ is in Israel uniting Christ. First of all, it's the elect. It should be the elect. If anything, it should be the elect and you're not united in Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai. Another thing was, I remember when they first started the IUIC, when it was small, before they got the PR manager to big them up. Anytime you want to push something, you get a PR, public relation manager, and he says, wear the suit, do this, say that, sing these songs, and the people flock to you. Esau, there's a science to that, man. They want to make a show popular. there's this whole science to it. So they use that science on these guys with the same garments marching down the street and so forth, right? What was I going to say? Anyway, he basically they kicked Mo out of the thing, and then they became Reservoir Dogs. So here he comes back with his little motley crew on Eastern Parkway, the little 10-minute videos. And what made this whole Israelite thing blow up was GMS. GMS, starting with myself. Apostle Gabar, Apostle Carr, Apostle Ramlab. Then you had the men that are now the bishops out of Connecticut. That's where this thing blew up. So people started following our lead. But then we're watching Nate's videos, and he does a video on Cornelius, and he says Cornelius is an Israelite. And basically he put it out there like, if you can't see it, you're an idiot and the spirit ain't dealing with you. So guess what? He said that Cornelius was not an Israelite 20 years before that. Now he's saying Cornelius is an Israelite. What is he saying now? The MOTB is an embargo in Christianity. We say different. Guess what? He's going to start saying that after a while. And it's already out there. You can't deny it no more. That's why we here, and I'm going to close, that's why we here at GMS say we have 100% truth, and the rest of the camps come short. With that, I'm going to say shalom.